Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are off and we are running. It is another brand new live edition of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome in. Happy Friday morning, everyone. We have made it through the week. 2 hours of Talking Ball, and then it is time to enjoy said weekend. 256-576-4977. That's the number you can join the program with this morning for the next 2 hours. We're going to take you all the way up until 9 o'clock on this Friday. And big win last night for the UAH Chargers, both men and women. The men get a win last night, 77-50. Chaney Johnson joins the 1,000-point club, 31st player to do so. And then the women get a win last night, 64-57, both wins over Delta State. The men and women back in action on Saturday, taking on Mississippi College, 2 and 4 o'clock inside Spraggins Hall. So congratulations to the UAH Chargers, both victorious last night. Download the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app. That's how we say it. That's what it is. Download the app today so you can stay in the know with UAH Charger basketball on Saturday. Shortly after our show yesterday ended, news came out that Alabama looking at another offensive coordinator. I don't want to say another, because we don't know what's going on behind everything. So we say another, but it couldn't be the only one. We don't know. But it does look like Notre Dame offensive coordinator, 30-year-old Tommy Rees, next on the docket to become Alabama's offensive coordinator. So we think a plane was in South Bend yesterday. Doesn't happen unless you have a picture, and a picture happened. So Tommy Rees, Drew's been with Notre Dame since 2017, first as a QB coach before taking the OC role in 2020. What do we think?
Well, nothing's been officially announced, but everything I was hearing last night sounded positive. He flew there with his fiance, and he had a Zoom call with Saban the day before, and they had a really good meeting, so they decided to bring him in. And the guy that took the photo, Pete Sampson of The Athletic that covers Notre Dame, he's going to join us at 8:30. So as he said, for the folks that pick or it didn't happen, he took a picture of the Alabama, team plane, and that came to pick he and his fiance up, and so and he was in Tuscaloosa most of yesterday. He had dinner with a lot of the other assistant coaches after talking to Nick Saban, because I think Nick Saban also is taking some vacation time now. But from all indications, he got the offer, and if he got the offer, he was going to accept it. So until there's an official announcement, you can't say 100% lock. But I think all signs are pointing to Tommy Rees being the guy. And I've said the whole time it was going to be an OC QB guy, and Rees played at Notre Dame. I think he finished in the top 3 in touchdown passes, yards. I mean, he kind of had a Major Applewhite type career because it was up and down, but he started for the majority of his career. And again, he was on the team that played Alabama in 2012 in the national championship game. So, but again, I just think overall when you look at it, he had a brief pro career. The art kind of reminded me of John Parker Wilson a little bit. He had a really good career, started the majority of it, set some school records, was up in the top 3 to 5 overall at Notre Dame for a lot of what he did.
Right.
And he was a guy that the fan base enjoyed watching compete. Didn't have a long pro career because I think he was a little bit limited physically, but he had a great football mind. And pretty much Brian Kelly, people forget the long tenure he had in in South Bend, and he hired Rees, as soon as he retired from football. He was the quarterback's coach from 17, actually he was a graduate assistant at another place, and then came back to Notre Dame, though, by 17, and was the quarterback's coach from 17 to 19, and then was elevated to offensive coordinator the last 3 years from 20 to 22. They had a really good offense, top 20 in the nation in pretty much every category in 21.
Yeah, Brian Kelly wanted to bring him from Notre Dame
that
to
was the original
LSU.
plan. He wanted him to be the OC and QB coach at LSU. So there was, of course, blowback because his offense wasn't nearly as ranked as nearly as highly this year. They averaged 32 points per game. But you got to remember,
I think they were down to their third-string quarterback.
Their starter got hurt early. Yeah. And they had a lot of quarterback injuries. They really picked up their production halfway through the season and started playing better football, and they still averaged like 190 yards rushing per game, still respectable throwing the ball, and, of course, they had the outstanding tight end that turned pro that was their leading receiver. Their offense kind of philosophically was a lot like Georgia's, but I don't think they had as much talent outside at receiver. But I still think Reeves did a really solid job. And, again, I think he would be a really good fit for what Nick Saban's wanting to do. I think he's wanting to get back to running the football, being physical, still using the RPO and still throwing the football, but he wants to get back to some physicality and pro-style type offense, and this guy would do that.
Not have the pass set up the run, but the run set up the pass.
I call it balance. I mean, now, depending on what the other team's doing defensively, they could come out and throw the football, but he would have better talent at Alabama than he'd have at Notre Dame. No disrespect to the Irish, even though they recruited really well this year, and they brought in Sam Hartman from Wake Forest, who's a really good graduate quarterback in the portal. But I just think overall it's a great opportunity for him. You have a chance to mold, some great young quarterbacks at Alabama. You've got a lot of great talent. The number one recruiting class coming in again. You talked about it on the show yesterday for the 10th time in 13 years.
Yeah.
He's only 30, so he's really young.
Well, he would be the youngest coordinator hired by Nick Saban since Will Muschamp was hired at LSU in 2002. That would be the youngest coordinator that Nick Saban.
Let me ask you a question. Did that work out?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I'm not saying he's not going to work out.
I know you're not. I've just seen a lot of Twitter reaction and the clown patrol out there acting like Saban's senile and doesn't know what he's doing anymore.
Is the reaction that's coming in on that side because Tommy Rees is not the name that was in the college football headlines as being a big innovator in college offense,
he's not Joe Brady.
Yes, not a Joe Brady, not a I'm thinking of a Kendall Briles. He's not a name that people will roll off the tongue with.
Well, guess what? Kendall Briles' numbers weren't great last year either, but he also had a quarterback injury, okay? And Joe Brady he didn't have great success with the Carolina Panthers because he had quarterback problems. He had 1 year at LSU, and he would have been my choice. But if you want to get technical with Tommy Rees, you could get technical with Joe Brady because guess what? Did Josh Allen play as well under him as he did under Brian Dable? If you just want to look at the numbers and where they got in the playoffs, no. I still think he did a really good job. But what people are focusing on, they're focusing on this year and saying that Notre Dame's offensive numbers weren't nearly as good as Bill O'Brien's. But you have to take into account injuries. And then to me, you have to take, like my big point, and you just made part of it when you're opening comments. What did the offense look like when they were healthier in 21? Why did Brian Kelly get the LSU job? And why did Brian Kelly want to bring him with him to LSU? Yeah. It was considered a big deal when Marcus Freeman was able to talk Tommy Rees into staying and staying at his alma mater and not going with Brian Kelly. They made a big deal out of that.
And I think people also want to make a big deal of the fact that you look at who Nick Saban has hired: Steve Sarkisian, Mike Loxley, Lane Kiffin, Bill O'Brien, Brian Dable for the most part. They all had play calling experience, a lot of it coming in. And they were all head coaches, except for Brian Dable. They were all head coaches at other institutions. And this would be that first one going back to just being a up-and-comer type of offensive coordinator.
This. Look, I'll say this right now. And I said Joe Brady would have been my choice. He's got less experience as a play caller and a quarterback coach than Tommy Rees.
Yeah.
I mean, he was basically going and getting somebody's coffee at New Orleans when LSU hired him. He wasn't even an on-the-field coach. He was like an offensive analyst or and he was doing more than getting coffee. But all I'm saying is he wasn't the play caller. Nobody knew, except for Mike Detillier, who we need to start getting back on this show. Nobody knew who Joe Brady was. And then he started making waves behind the scenes because people were seeing what he was doing in practice and hearing from insiders at LSU how brilliant he was. And it ended up being 100% right. Okay? And even then, though, there are people that are taking things away from Joe Brady, and I'm not saying taking shots at him. I'm just saying, well, Joe Brady wasn't the play caller. It was Steve Ensminger. But we all know who designed the offense, and we all know where I think the magic was coming from. And that's why Ed Ogeron tried to pay him $1.5 million a year for 3 years, but he went to the NFL because he wants to be an NFL guy. So, again, I just think overall, I think the Rees hire, if it happens, is solid. But, again, nothing official yet. But I think everybody feels like that's where the direction it's going.
All right, let's go real fast to Jason on the phone lines. Good morning, Jason.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, the deal is some of these people commenting on social media last night, I would love to see their national championship ring. And when they got more than Nick Saban, I say their opinion would be more important than Nick's, but I haven't seen that yet.
Well, I can tell you this, Jason, and you may remember it. When Steve Sarkisian left to go to the Falcons, everybody was up in an uproar about that. When he left, because remember, he was supposed to be the OC to replace Lane Kiffin, and right after the national championship game, which some of the fans blamed him for losing, which was crazy, because they didn't win the national championship that year because they lost to Clemson in that epic game against Deshaun Watson because of all the injuries they incurred and not being able to close the deal. And it wasn't Sark's fault. I mean, it was just you had a young quarterback. He struggled in the game. Bo Scarborough was gone because Bo was having an MVP performance. During the season, you lost Eddie Jackson. You lost Sean Dion Hamilton. And after all that, you still lose on the last play of the game. So it was really no one's fault. You couldn't blame it on any one person. So but he leaves to go to the Falcons, has a really good first year with the Falcons and a pretty good second year, and they fire him. And remember, Nick Saban brought him back because Mike Locksley left to be the head coach of the Maryland Terrapins. But, I mean, to be honest, Brian Dable was criticized when he was hired because nobody knew who he was, but he won a national championship and has become a great head coach in the NFL. Then Mike Locksley, who won the Broyles Award that year, even though Alabama once again didn't finish. And then when they brought Sarkisian back, and this is my point, I got messages from people, why would we bring Steve Sarkisian back? The Falcons' offense wasn't very good last year. All they focus on is the year the current season the guy played in. And I was like, well, first of all, if you look at the 2 years that Matty Ice had under him, Matt Ryan, he had his two best statistical years under Sark. And then Sark comes back and he does a great job. And then it turns into, how could we ever lose Sark? How can we got to keep him? But he got a head coaching opportunity. So there's always criticism. But I think Tommy Rees, if he's the guy, would be a really solid choice by Nick Saban.
Right. The head coaching deal, like the last two coordinators we had, we never keep coordinators that long. They usually get a head coaching job if they're doing the job they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
I mean, we was not going to lose them. They would have been career coaches there, which would be fine. But, I mean, that don't happen. They come get them, I mean, after so long.
Yeah.
You're not going to keep a good coordinator.
Well, and with Tommy Rees' age, if he comes in, and Alabama has a great year next year, Scott. I'm talking about Ty Simpson's quarterback or whatever. And Alabama makes the playoff or has a chance to win a championship, and he's 31 years old, and Alabama, I don't know, wins a national championship or plays in the playoff, there'll probably be somebody coming after him then to be a head coach because, the younger you are, the
Yes.
longer they think they can keep you. And so, boom, he's
going to be gone. All
I
right.
mean, there'll be people beating down his door.
All right, hold that thought. Jason, thanks for the phone call. We got to
Thank
get
you.
a break in on a Friday morning. When we come back, we'll pick this up. Your phone calls again, 256-576-4977. Tommy Rees, yay or nay, All-Alabama offensive coordinator.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still got a big backup on 565 east and westbound through the Mooresville and Greenbrier area. Lots of ice there, and we've had numerous accidents. Had one eastbound on 565 near Oakwood. That one reported an injury, and they've decided that wreck southbound on Research Park, south of University, with an overturned vehicle is an old accident. Why not fly Breeze from Huntsville? Their fares are $39 to Tampa, only $79 to Las Vegas, nonstop. Their sale ends February the 6th. Flybreeze.com for info. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Suffering from emotional pain and mental health conditions? Intensive Outpatient Programs, or IOP, is a rich addition to your continued individual therapy. Group members realize they're not alone and that others have similar difficulties. Hearing and sharing different ways to think and cope can be encouraging, empowering, and promote healing. In most cases, treatment is covered by insurance and no doctor referral is needed. Virtual IOP sessions available. Take your first step to wellness by calling 205-999-5247 or log on IOPServicesLLC.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 256-576-4977. At first segment there, just kind of reacting to the news that happened yesterday after our show, and that was Tommy Rees, Notre Dame offensive coordinator, emerging as the leading candidate to be Alabama's offensive coordinator. 256-576-4977. You can weigh in on that if you would like, as the show kind of rolls along here this morning. Yesterday or the other day, Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze had a chance to visit with the media, and Hugh Freeze giving us all an update on a couple things. One, recruiting, and two, spring football. Here is Hugh Freeze talking about adjusting to walking into, not having anybody signed or even committed as recruits.
Yeah, there was no more important thing. I mean, I would love to say that I knew our team better, but the current roster demanded that we hit it hard, and I just wasn't afforded the opportunity to sit in the office and try to do anything else other than recruit. And so we hit it hard. How much can you really do in 2.5 weeks? It's hard to really say how much we closed the gap on the teams that you're trying to catch, but I do believe we improved ourselves. Some of those challenges were very daunting, truthfully. I don't remember a time in my whole career where we felt like we had to sign 9 offensive linemen. I mean, that's unheard of to try to get to your 16 number. That's a big challenge, and we were able to sign 8 guys thus far, and I think I like the 8 that we signed on paper and on film and as young men, but we've got to get out and prove that. And so it was there was no way around it. We had to get after it, and you also feel like you're behind on the 24 class.
So there you go. That's Hugh Freeze talking about recruiting.
And I probably didn't mention this on the show yesterday, but we had Cole Pinkston on the Recruiting Blitz earlier this week, and he works for Auburn Live on 3, and he's been on this show and the Recruiting Blitz and part of on3sports.com. And I'm piggybacking off the last sentence Hugh Freeze said about being behind on the 24 class. Check this out. Now, you remember Brian Matthews has joined us and talked about that last year – the recruiting cycle for the majority, not the end, but under the previous administration, was the biggest joke that he'd covered since 2001 in recruiting. And I'll tell you how bad it was. Remember, he told us about the junior day that was thrown together at the last minute under Harsin.
Yeah,
because he didn't think
Brian
it was that
Harsin
important.
didn't want. He didn't see a point in one.
He didn't see a point. Everybody's like, "Are you crazy? You got to get people on campus."
Yeah,
this is how behind they were, but how much effort that Hugh Freeze and his staff have done. And Keith Niebuhr reiterated it yesterday on the Recruiting Blitz. It was probably overkill, but think about this: Keith, Cole, Jeffrey Lee, they all work for Auburn Live on 3, and they put their heads together. And when they allow you to cover recruiting at Auburn, you can be on campus, you can be around the players, you can be around the facility when they're coming in, coming out, whatever. They count how many guys. Okay. Did you see so-and-so? And they write everybody's name down. 204 names. As Keith said, overkill. Probably didn't need to – it was probably overdone from the standpoint of they probably didn't need that many guys on campus, but they're playing catch-up.
Right.
But here's the thing, and Cole Pinkston admitted it to me because he still had the numbers. He said, you want to know on the same time last year how many players we counted? 13. So think about that. He said 13 guys and now 204. Now, and these aren't all juniors. These are, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, 24s, 25s, 26s.
Opening up the campus too.
Right. Everybody come look, And as Keith said, there's probably about 30 or 40 big-time guys that they would have an interest in, okay? A lot of these kids are just looking,
Still,
they're being seen.
That number there is more than what they had the entire time.
204. And when Cole told me 13, I was like, 13 on that's it? Yeah. And so then it went back in my head to what Brian Matthews said about what a disaster it was because nobody showed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that just shows you how they're having to catch up. And another interesting comment that Hugh Freeze just had about numbers, he's telling you how many offensive linemen that they want on scholarship at one time.
16.
Whether it's seniors, juniors, freshmen, sophomores. They were trying to get up to the number.
Just to get
there.
Just to get
they had 6 left. Or no, excuse me, my math sucks. I suck. 7! I'm sorry. 7.
It's early in the
9
morning.
What's this? I don't know if it's got any caffeine.
That's why we do
Bolton
radio.
Left it in here. He does that all the time.
Take it.
The ice
blue.
milk. I don't have any
blue.
ice. I need ice. Do we have ice in this facility? I mean, it's blue. I think it's Powerade. I haven't smelled it yet.
It's blue. Like you can smell Powerade.
And hey, by the way, I got to give Brandon a lot of credit. I know UAH played last night.
Yeah.
Sounds like my picture was making the round.
It did. We'll get to that. Hold on, though. But Hugh Freeze also talked about what he wants to accomplish in spring. So here's this on what they need to accomplish this spring.
We want. I really want us to get in spring ball and get good at something, particularly offensively. What can our quarterbacks do? And all right, how can we make that look different, and what different things can we do with what they can do? And we've got plenty of time in fall camp, in the week for a game plan to add some of these auxiliary stuff in if we think that's going to help us win a game. But truthfully, what can we do on offense that we feel like our personnel can do that we currently have? And then defensively, man, we must play hard, and we must be physical, and we must tackle well.
So that's Hugh Freeze, just kind of outlining what they want to accomplish in spring. There's so much to do, and he's right. They've got so much to do that you can't just say we want to do all this. You just got to pick something and do it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true because you have a new coach.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what his philosophy is, they've not played for him. We know offensively that Auburn was not great last year, especially in the passing game. So they've got to improve. Their consistency along the offensive line's got to improve. All of it offensively. And then the whole team. I mean, defensively, they were definitely up and down. So they have to have an identity on offense and defense. I'll be honest, they're completely starting over. Because, look, I mean, he didn't keep anyone except for Cadillac, Carnell Williams, and Zach Etheridge. And neither one of them are coordinators. So they're doing different things. And so we'll just have to see, what this Auburn team looks like. And so there's going to be a lot of intrigue in spring practice.
All right, Pete Thamel just putting this out there.
Yes.
I guess you could call it breaking news.
Right.
The effort for Oklahoma and Texas to leave the Big 12 a year early and join the SEC in 2024 has stalled out.
Uh-oh.
And at this point, it is unlikely to happen. So remember, Texas and Oklahoma wanted to leave early. Mm-hmm. They'll join the SEC in 2025 as parties could not come to terms amid a complex
that's the
negotiation.
Drop dead thing where it said contractually with their deal with the Big 12 would come to an end, but they were trying to do it earlier
because they had to do it between ESPN, Fox, and everybody else. They couldn't get it done. All right, Brandon with us this morning. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was trying to think of that thing that Scott was talking about, and my kid used to have one on his wall. It's called a fathead.
It's a fathead, yes.
Yeah, that's right. The ones you can move around.
Thing.
Yeah.
You can move it around.
Yeah.
We should get fatheads for the wall for everybody.
Oh boy. Well, then it doesn't need to be the one going around.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah. I know you can.
Honestly, I didn't see a picture. We didn't have a picture there last night.
There are companies. No I know. I just saw him joking around, and I saw that Coach Studeman liked it too. So I'm probably. So if we're doing softball on the air and I'm over there doing that, and I know I'm going to get ripped, but I mean it is what it is. But it's always nice when you get a Hall of Fame coach that thinks it's humorous. So we've impressed her some, so that's good. She's listening and likes it.
Studeman's funnier than Shulman is. Shulman's pretty funny.
She's the entire range of motions. She's the most intense person you can see, but she's hilarious as well.
Yep,
she can be.
Well, without the picture there, was there a 30-point swing about Drew being there? Because with Drew there, it's 30. With the picture there, it's 30.
Well, I'll just say this. So. Last night, Delta State did. They could have cared less if there was a basketball game going on.
Sounds like they left Dane Harding open quite a bit.
Yeah, the first half they did. They left a lot of people open in the first half.
Yeah.
But anyway, UAH prevailed, though, yeah. So
they played very well.
What? The common denominator, maybe this team is getting better, or the common denominator may be that Drew sparked them with a picture at shorter, and now that could be the rally cry.
Uh-oh.
Well, that was still a little embarrassed by that. I'm still embarrassed by the Rome News Tribune and Coos Valley News saying, well, maybe when Shorter changes classifications, they can actually win. If you read that article they put in there,
yeah.
Oh God, it was damaging. I mean, it was. If I was at that school, I would be very, very, very unhappy to read those words printed about my school. But the truth is the truth. Sometimes you just got to live with it.
Yep.
These people talking about Tommy Reese.
Yeah.
The dude could be good. I mean, I'm not going to judge him based off what he's got at Notre Dame, because we've seen time and time again that Notre Dame can't run with the best of the SEC. Not even close.
And that's why Kelly left.
Agreed. Exactly. He come down here, and I think he's going to be better for the change, and I'm willing to give this Reese dude a try. I've seen some of the stuff he's done. I've seen how some of the coaches and people talk about him. If he wants to get back to running the football and being physical and get to what, Drew says, balance, where we're not so pass-heavy, I don't have any problem with that at all. I think we've got good enough talent at Alabama that if you're competent and can run a good offense, then you're going to be okay. Do I think he might be as good as Hugh Freeze at running offense? Maybe not. But, I mean, if they hire Reese, I'm not going to be mad one bit.
All right, Brian Brandon, thanks for the phone call, but we are up against a break. We got to get one in.
16 of 37 from three is pretty good, though.
It is good. They had a good night. We'll break down UAH's win. We'll break down and get more of your phone calls when we return. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Really a fantastic Friday across the Tennessee Valley. Plenty of sunshine, though we are going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. Temperatures only climbing into the low and mid-40s, dropping into the mid-upper 20s through the overnight, early into your Saturday morning. Clouds are going to build through Saturday afternoon as we head into Saturday evening. Temperatures, though, going to climb into the low and mid-50s, only dropping into the mid-upper 30s as we head into Sunday morning. More cloud cover for Sunday afternoon, but temperatures are pushing 60 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Lots of icy spots to watch out for this morning, especially 565 east and westbound around Mooresville Road and Greenbrier. We've had a number of accidents there. They've called for the state to bring sand. Had a wreck on 565 eastbound near Oakwood. That one had an injury involved. They're also reporting the whole area coming across Chapman's pretty slick. Do your methods to lose weight no longer work for you? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Alabama knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family-friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all of the drama and excitement competitive sports offer. You'll be supporting the future leaders of our community in a meaningful way. Best of all, you can take the entire family without breaking the bank. Heck, you won't even dent it. Now, enough chalk talk. Let's get out there and see what's playing at the high school in your community. School sports. Good for our kids, good for our community. This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
It may not require a textbook, but it's filled with valuable lessons. It may not take place in a classroom, but it's an ideal environment for learning. It may not involve a diploma, but it can help prepare Alabama's young people for life. It's high school sports. High school sports can play a critical role in a student's overall education. In fact, studies show that students that participate in high school sports are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in their academic lives. If you think high school sports are only about competition, think again. Better yet, think about attending a high school sporting event in your community. You'll be amazed by what you see. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
From the Alabama Crimson Tide to the Atlanta Braves, we are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, 256-576-4977. That is how you can join the program this morning if you so would like to. Reacting to Tommy Rees possibly becoming Alabama's offensive coordinator, the current offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Good fit, bad fit. We want your opinion on that. We heard from Hugh Freeze as he broke down Auburn's recruiting class and what he wants to accomplish during the spring. Another little clip here I want to get to is Urban Meyer, or Urban Liar, as he is affectionately known on this show. Urban Liar joined the All Things Covered podcast with Patrick Peterson and Bryant McFadden recently. And Drew was asked the question about his 2012 Ohio State team. Remember that team, the 2012 team?
Yeah.
The undefeated team, but could not play in a bowl game because of transgressions by the former staff, John Cooper's staff.
Oh, that wasn't 12, though.
Yeah.
That was...
12. They couldn't play in a bowl game in 2012 because of that.
Because John Cooper had been fired many years before.
Or not Cooper, but...
are you talking about Jim Tressel?
Jim Tressel, yeah. I got them mixed up. Yeah, it was the Jim Tressel 2000. After Jim Tressel left, then they get hit with sanctions. They couldn't play in a bowl game for a year and had to lose 9 scholarships. But Meyer was asked about whether or not that 2012 team could beat either Notre Dame or Alabama, because both of them played for a national title that year.
2012 team was a great team, but I think we would have competed with Notre Dame. But if you push the clock back, Notre Dame got smashed by Alabama. Alabama mess out of
Miami.
And I was there working for game day that day, and I watched Alabama play, and I sent a text message to every player and every coach, and I called it the chase. And I said, guys, we had a great year, but Alabama was so much better than we were. I said, the chase is on. We have to catch Alabama. And, I have great respect for Nick Saban and Alabama. And I said, the chase is on. And we had signs all over the facility I put up on the walls and in the indoor facility that we're going to chase Alabama. And, it's ironic. 2 years later, we caught them. And we played a Sugar Bowl and beat them. And our players, I remember, it was real emotional in the locker room. I mean, sobbing, guys crying. And when we caught them, basically. It was a story that the 12 team was really good, but that 2014 that won it all, that team and we beat Alabama.
Urban Meyer talking about that 2012, but getting the 2014 team worked in there.
Well, I mean, and look, that 2014 team, Zeke Elliott ran all over Alabama, but Alabama, once again, they, just like against Georgia in 21, the battle of attrition, they didn't have enough depth ready to roll because they lost Landon Collins during that game in 2014. They lost Reggie Ragland to injuries, and Zeke was already getting going. And Alabama, people forget, Alabama actually had a nice lead in that game. I think it was 24-7 over the Ohio State Buckeyes, and Alabama ended up giving the lead up because as they continued to lose guys defensively, Zeke was a monster and just absolutely ran on. And he was only a sophomore at the time, wasn't even draft eligible.
Right.
And he just ran. I think he ended up going for like 240 or something like that. It was just it was unreal. Alabama couldn't stop the run because, remember, Ohio State was on their third quarterback at the time. Ohio State.
Cardale Jones.
Right?
The big guy.
So they had depth ready to roll. They had more depth ready to go than Alabama did, and Alabama blew a big lead in the Sugar Bowl. And then, if you remember, Ohio State just smashed Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, after Oregon took Dirt Neck behind the shed and just beat the ever-loving hell out of him, which was a glorious night,
That's
by
when
the
he
way.
was at Florida State.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because Dirt Neck had got them back to the playoff undefeated, and they were the defending national champions, and everybody was wondering, could they repeat? And Mariota, I think they won by 40 or 50 points because, as usual, Dirt Neck didn't have his team ready to play. Because if you remember during that time, I think he had to suspend Jameis during parts of the season because of the crab legs and all that stuff. And then and Jameis threw 20 interceptions. He was basically giving you a picture of what his pro career was going to look like. He was going to turn the ball over a ton, not be great. He basically had won the Heisman the year before and been really good, but basically that was his peak. And he wasn't going to be consistent. He didn't have a great year in his draft. Remember, he was only a redshirt soft when he left because he redshirted his freshman year and played 2 years at Florida State. But again, Mariota and Oregon smashed them. And then it was like –
was Marcus Mariota the coach? Or no, he was the quarterback.
Chip
Kelly was the coach. Marcus Mariota was the quarterback.
Yeah, Mariota kind of he had a great year that year. He won the Heisman. And they smashed Florida State. But then it wasn't quite as big a mauling as TCU and Georgia, but it was close. Ohio State just beat Oregon upside the head. It wasn't even a game. And then that was the peak for Herb because he finally got it done at Ohio State. Now, he never got it done again because remember the next year, Ohio State was a huge favorite, Scott. They were a huge favorite. They had all the quarterbacks back. There was a huge battle. Everybody said it was just a matter of, Ohio State naming the score against everybody.
Yeah, it was Ohio State 42, Oregon 20 that year.
Yeah, it was
Ezekiel
a beatdown.
Elliott rushed for 246 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. He was in the playoff, man. He was a beast. He averaged like 7 yards a carry or something in the playoff, and he torched Alabama. He torched, the Oregon Ducks, and they won the national championship. Now, the funny thing is the next year, it was kind of like with Mark Ingram. He got a little nicked up during the season, and as I told you, Ohio State was the big favorite to win it all, and to repeat, but they didn't do it. They didn't even get in the playoff because they lost to Michigan State at home in the Horseshoe. That team underachieved, and that's why I was saying that 2014 was basically Herb's zenith with Ohio State because he never reached the top of the mountain again.
You were close, though. Ezekiel Elliott rushed for 230 yards in that win
against Alabama. I knew he went for over 2 bills, man.
He had almost 450 yards in the playoffs. 2 games. Yeah.
I mean, he was a monstrosity, and then he's had a really good run with the Cowboys, but I think it's about to come to an end. I mean, he got his big contract,
he's beat up and done. Yeah,
yeah, he's got a lot of miles on the tires, and then they got to do something with Tony Pollard. But in his younger days, Zeke was a beast. I mean, he was from the state of Missouri. And Ohio State was able to win a spirited recruiting battle there. And honestly, he was really good, but nobody knew how good until that playoff run. I mean, he went ballistic. A lot of people thought he was going to win the Heisman the next year, but again, he got hurt. Once again, it was kind of a foreshadowing of what was going to happen to him in the NFL. Got off to a really good start with the Cowboys, but then when he got that big contract, then you started having the hamstrings and the hangnails and whatever the hell else went wrong, and he wasn't in the lineup nearly as much. Very talented young man, but just Emmitt Smith, he ain't.
All right, let's get a break in. Wrap up hour 1, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. New flavor of Oreo out.
Uh-oh.
We'll fill you in when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It looks like they've gotten everything cleared up through the Mooresville and Greenbrier area on 565. Had a number of accidents out there and a number of slick spots to report. So still be careful, but it looks like traffic is moving there once again. Had an injury wreck at the other end of 565 up near Oakwood. They should have it just about out of the way, and they've sent 2 ambulances to a wreck in Marshall County, 231 on Brindley Mountain. I'm not sure if that's going to be north or southbound. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
Who knows comfort? Well, comfort is our middle name. If your home isn't as comfortable as you want it to be, we can fix that. We service all makes and brands of heating and cooling systems, even if we didn't install them. So give us a call. Environmental Comfort Systems. Visit our website at envcomfort.com. We are your independently owned American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Alabama license number 92314. Environmental Comfort Systems. That's envcomfort.com.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing: helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. And I only bring this up because we've been talking about Tom Brady sitting in that number one chair.
Yeah.
For Fox, possibly replacing Greg Olsen.
Making $300 million.
$300 million or whatever. Now reports have come out over the last couple days that CBS, after last season, CBS attempted to do an intervention with Tony Romo.
Uh-oh.
Because they felt like he was unprepared and they didn't like the direction and the way that Tony Romo has become as a broadcaster. They feel like after his first season, he's kind of digressed.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with that, is all I'll say.
They said he did not get better per a report from Andrew Marchand.
Yeah, and Marchand is, of course, based out of New York and has a lot of the insider media stuff. But I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I haven't been nearly as enthused and really have never been a huge Romo fan. Everybody knows the Freudian slip I had earlier in the week. But anyway, not going to go there again.
No, that's not why I brought it up. I brought it up because we were talking about
because we were talking about Tom Brady. All of a sudden. What's so good? I mean, he's never even done a game yet.
Possibly being so good.
Right.
And then Greg Olsen being good.
Yeah.
And, everything else. And your favorite Troy Aikman moving to ESPN.
Yeah, but I mean, and remember, Romo with out and got a big contract.
Yeah. 10-year. He signed a 10-year, $180 million contract in 2020 with CBS.
Because some people thought he might be going to Monday Night Football.
Yeah. And so Tony Romo, that first year, everybody was like, wow, this guy is good. But apparently CBS didn't think so because his lack of preparation and everything else, not happy. CBS not happy. So they tried to do an intervention. And they say things have not gotten any better with Tony Romo. So we'll wait to see what CBS does there. I mentioned going to break the whole Oreo thing, and we love food here. We talk a lot about it. And you are still eyeing that blue drink.
Yeah, I'm really wondering what it is.
Well, anyway, CBS has the most Oreo limited edition cookie.
The most Oreo?
That's what they're calling it. The most Oreo.
Okay.
Cookies and cream.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that one. I did partake in some peanut butter and chocolate ones and the dark chocolate ones recently, but haven't seen the cookies and cream. No. Yeah, they're good. No. Had both of them. Haven't seen the cookies and cream version.
6 tasty levels. I don't know. Cookies and cream Oreo. They call it the most Oreo.
I think you would have enjoyed it over at the Bright Star yesterday, though. It was good, too.
What did you have yesterday?
We had jumbo shrimp. They didn't have their world famous snapper throats, that you've seen.
Yes.
Yeah, they were
you
not.
You talked about that the last time.
They were not on the menu yesterday. They had some snapper.
Okay.
But they did not have the throats. So
okay.
Didn't have that, but they had some okra on the menu this time that was quite good. Some cinnamon apples that always are good.
Okay.
That they don't have all the time. And of course they have some famous cabbage slaw with homemade dressing that's pretty good. So that's what we had yesterday. No dessert. Didn't partake on anything that might make the blood
tingle?
sugar skyrocket. There were some people having some pie and stuff, but didn't do that. But
you did not go with even a piece of pie.
No, didn't go with a pie. But
wow.
It was quite good. The shrimp were, jumbo. So it was some good food over there.
So what do you think? Is there really a big effect with Texas and Oklahoma not coming into the SEC in 2024?
Not really. I mean,
I mean, that's been the news now. In case you missed it a few minutes ago, Texas
now
and Oklahoma talks have broke down.
Like, I know Nick Saban's been asked recently about the scheduling model and everything. Now you're just going to put it off a year because now they're not going to be here in 24. And it's just going to make for more awkward, media days at the Big 12 where they're asking them about their conference that they're only going to be in another year.
Right, right.
It's going to be a little bit weird. I'm not completely stunned by this, though, that they couldn't work out a deal, because that would have probably been a lot of money that both Texas and Oklahoma had to pay. And then I'll just let their fan bases know, at least now you don't have to get your ass whooped for another year.
But, Steve Sarkisian did sign a good class this year for Texas.
But, he did. He signed it. And Oklahoma did. Brent Venables had his first full cycle. Yeah. They had a really good recruiting class. Both of them recruited very well. We'll see how they do in the Big 12 because it sure ain't their basketball league. But, but we'll see. I mean, they had a school from Texas finally get to the national championship game and get humiliated unlike any team we'd ever seen in our lives. But, again, they still got to the national championship game, and yet it wasn't Texas. So I think Sarkisian – there is doubts that he may be the Texas coach by the time they get to the SEC. I mean, he's going to have a better year next year. He needs to honestly probably needs to reach the Big 12 championship game to feel good about his employment. Especially, I know he's bringing in Arch Manning and some star power, but they need to get better. And I know you at the start of the show we were talking about NILs and collectives and things of that nature. And they're being very aggressive, let's just say, in the transfer portal. They're spending some cash to bring in talent, so they need to improve exponentially. They made progress this year because remember, year one it was 5-7. It was not good. They didn't go to a bowl. This year they go to a bowl. They get whacked by Washington, but they didn't reach the championship game. They nearly did, but I believe they ended up what? I think overall Texas was either 8-5 or 7-6 after the bowl game,
right?
Something like that. They weren't very good, so they were just a little above average, if not you want to call them average. So they're going to have to get better. They got to make a lot of improvement going into next year because if they don't win the Big 12 or come close, then I think they could make a coaching change, or at the very least, for Sark going into year 4,
wow,
his seat would be scorching hot. Because again, think about it though. Think about Tom Herman though, Scott. He at least went to 4 straight bowl games and won them all. Okay,
right.
It wasn't Urban Meyer stuff and winning a national championship, but they were very, very competitive. But the Texas people weren't satisfied. And so far in the first 2 years, Sark hasn't been Tom Herman good. Now, you could say, well, by the time Tom Herman got done, the roster wasn't in great shape, blah, blah, blah. But here's the biggest thing. With the transfer portal now and the collectives and the NIL, and you're a school like Texas that's probably got more money than any school in America, your ass better win. And so you better get it rolling quick. And I like Sark.
Tom Herman finished 32-18 overall, 22-13
in the Big 12
in his tenure at Texas.
Mm-hmm. And he won every bowl game. And so far in 2 years, Sark's been to one bowl and didn't win it. And so Sark's record is underwhelming. Sark has a very average record as a head coach. I would probably definitely give Lane Kiffin an edge as a head coach so far, and that's not good for Sark with where he is at Texas. Steve
Sarkisian so far 13-12 at Texas, 9-9 in Big 12 play, 12-6 at USC, 7-5 at Pac-12. When he was at Washington, 34-29 overall, 24-21 in Pac-12 play at Washington. As head coach, he's a 500 coach at best, Steve Sarkisian. All right, hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 around the bend.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing: helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back in. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Hour 2 of Talking Ball is underway, our final hour of the week. And we're going to close it out by talking a little Alabama. Starting it off, I should say, by talking some Alabama basketball and football. Don't forget, tomorrow, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, your home for Alabama basketball. We'll have the Tide on the road at LSU tomorrow. Fourth-ranked Alabama traveling to LSU. 3 o'clock tip right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. So download that app today so you can listen to Alabama basketball tomorrow on Saturday. A lot of the talk in hour 1. Tommy Rees kind of stole the show in hour 1.
Yeah, he did. And our next guest has been in Mobile for part of the week at the Senior Bowl. You know, this is Senior Bowl week, Scott. It's a big deal in the state of Alabama. Just about every NFL organization in our state and in our borders over there evaluating talent. He and James Benedito went over there as they were part of the Rivals.com and part of Tide Illustrated. And Tony's been over there monitoring Alabama and their prospects, and also continuing to keep the phone near him because, as we know, there's a lot of information that's been popping with the coaching searches at the coordinators, and also Tide Illustrated still covering basketball as they've got the full gamut. And Tony Tsoukalos has been good enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Tony, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
We're doing well, sir. First, let's just start it off. Your thoughts on Tommy Rees. I know you were covering that from start to finish yesterday. Started around lunchtime, breaking. I know you guys have been in Mobile for much of the week, but you've been watching this. We saw the Ryan Grubb thing happen. You guys were one of the first to report on that. But your thoughts now on everything pivoting toward the Notre Dame offensive coordinator and QB coach.
It certainly feels like that's going to be the way Alabama goes. I'm expecting something to happen pretty soon. As far as like my personal, view on it, at first, I kind of thought maybe a little bit of an underwhelming choice for Alabama. And then I kind of thought about it a little bit more, and he's somebody that LSU targeted. Also, I mean, when you look at some of these hires, they're not always necessarily popular at first. So Nick Saban kind of knows what he's doing. I think, obviously, I mean, just look at Sarkisian. I remember a lot of people not being super excited with that hire, and look how that turned out for Alabama. So my initial reaction might have been a little bit underwhelmed by Tommy Rees, but I could see where that intrigue is.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Tommy Rees. What do we make of this whole coordinator search so far? For Alabama, a lot of Alabama fans are kind of wondering why this is kind of dragged on so long.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of home run hires, I guess, on the market, you would say. So we saw Alabama go after Grubb. That didn't turn out, the way, we thought it would. And I think, Tommy Reese is just another name on that list. If they're able to get him, I mean, then they can just focus on the defensive side of the ball, which is a lot more complicated when you look at, their pursuit of Jeremy Pruitt, and that doesn't seem like it's something that's going to happen. So we'll have to see how that kind of plays out. It's been kind of a tough time for, Alabama fans. I'm sure that, just from looking at the forum, and they're not too happy with how things have turned out. But I think the sooner they're able to come, nail down some names and just move forward from this, I think you're going to see, I guess the mood of the program improve.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I thought back all the way to Nick Saban's first staff when Major Applewhite was named the offensive coordinator, and I'll be honest, there may have been more excitement for him, and that didn't work out after a year because of his history. He was named after Major Ogilvy. He grew up in Alabama. He didn't play there, but he was a very well-known college player. They were very excited about that. And then Nick Saban, the inside word this week is, as he's told people, look, people didn't even know who Jim McElwain was when I hired. I remember people being underwhelmed with that hire. Underwhelmed with Doug Nussmeier, pretty much, and Lane Kiffin had been fired as a head coach. I don't know that any of the coordinator hires for Nick Saban offensively have been universally met with great enthusiasm, Tony.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, kind of the point I was making before.
Right.
So I don't think that, we're just going to have to wait and see. And obviously Nick Saban has a good track record with these. Say what you want about Bill O'Brien. Everyone makes it seem like that was a failure. I mean, he put together 2 top 10 offenses and produced a Heisman-winning quarterback.
Yes,
Nick Saban
I agree.
knows what he's doing here. So I think he's earned Alabama's trust.
Yeah, you brought up that defensive coordinator spot. Where do we go, though? I mean, what?
Just doesn't sound like Pruitt's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, is that an Alabama fan's wishing to happen, or is that? I mean, that is the road Alabama's going down, trying to get it going. While the offensive coordinator position has a little bit of steam, where do we stand on that defensive side?
Look, it's not going to be popular with Alabama fans, but Todd Grantham seems to be the name I keep on hearing, and I know that that's a name that a lot of our readers don't love, but he's a guy familiar with the staff now after spending a year as an analyst. He's been defensive coordinator at 3 different SEC schools, and I think probably more importantly, he's a guy that can kind of hold that role until Alabama can hire Jeremy Pruitt. And if Alabama really does want Jeremy Pruitt, there's a thought here that maybe you have Todd Grantham until you can make that move, and he's a guy that you trust. So I think that might be barring a change, and these things are fluid. These things can change. I would not be shocked to see a Reese Grantham kind of pairing as offensive and defensive coordinators.
Is the hiring of Jeremy Pruitt? We get asked this a lot.
Right.
Is this okay? So right now there is. I mean, the NCAA has not come back on Tennessee yet.
There's no show cause yet.
Yeah. Is this an SEC? Is this an SEC prevention of Alabama hiring Jeremy Pruitt, where the conference and Greg Sankey saying no, you can't hire him, or is this Alabama just not knowing what the NCAA is going to do?
I think it's more the latter, from my understanding.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% clear on that, so I don't want to give you the wrong answer. But I think it's more of the latter in terms of it's a tough situation, and Alabama doesn't want to be caught in a situation where these things are. It's hard to make these things with the allegations. You don't know what you're going to get with how the NCAA is going to rule on through it. So I think it's one of those things kind of unhireable right now. And he's unhireable from not just from a coordinator perspective, but also from a analyst perspective at the moment, from what I'm hearing.
Well, I've heard the term used, target on your back, that you don't want to with the trouble that he's still facing. And so as of a couple weeks ago, even a week ago, I was hearing more positive things. But I'm like you, Tony. I just don't see, especially not the DC role, the analyst role. Maybe, but even that, I agree, is not is far from a certainty. And now, if you're Alabama, where do you pivot? I think it's interesting that Jim Leonard still doesn't have a job. I've heard he might take the year off. I hear he's someone else you could talk to. I've even heard Kevin Steele's name come up this week because he's at Miami. But the thing is, and I know you're chasing it as well, and that's why you've continued to go back and you reported that Grantham was a name of interest, is it doesn't look like there's a lot of options for Nick Saban from the coaching tree that he's associated with.
Exactly. Kevin Steele's a name that I thought would be interesting too, and among the Alabama fans on our board, I mean that would be a name that I think they would be more okay with than Grantham. But you talked about like the initial impression. Todd Grantham is not someone. He's kind of developed this joke into SEC fan bases, but he's not necessarily as bad as what people have kind of made him out to be.
Yeah.
He put together some top 10 defenses. He just hasn't been consistent at the places he's been, and it's usually, petered out. But, let's say this is for a year until Alabama can find out the Pruitt situation. It's not necessarily the worst. Could they do better? Yeah, I think they could do better, in my opinion. It's a very underwhelming move if that's the move that they make, but it's not the end of the world that some Alabama fans are making it, especially if Alabama's just dead set on Pruitt and this is kind of like a placeholder move.
Well, yeah.
Coordinator positions, obviously the big topic for Alabama, but how's Senior Bowl going? I mean, how's Mobile life?
What was it like, man?
It was okay. It was nice. I mean, one of the standouts for me was seeing Emil Ekiar move to center. Look, I had talked with him in the past. That's a position he likes, and it just wasn't in the cards for him to move to center this senior season for Alabama. But I like him at that position, and I think, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves there in the NFL. He's a guy that can play, obviously, center or guard. I don't think he had quite the season that he was, looking for this year, but I think he's a guy that's an underrated talent. So look for him. He's a prospect that I like from Alabama that's maybe underrated. It's interesting to see how somebody like maybe Marco Helms will do. He's a guy that we obviously know how Marco Helms can tackle. Let's see if he can show teams that he can cover over there. So there's a few names out there that Tyler Steen. I heard he had moved to guard. Let's put in some good reps at guard. Another offensive lineman that's moving positions. Byron Young's a guy that I think that could develop into a day 2 pick. So I mean, there's some interesting names there. It's not star-studded on Alabama's perspective, but there's definitely some interesting storylines from Mobile.
And interesting too, because back about 10 years ago with that great O-line in 2012, Anthony Steen went to, of course, didn't get drafted, Tony, but he ended up being a starting center for a short time in the NFL. He made the transition from guard to center as well.
Yeah, and that versatility is just key, Drew. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing Emil Ekiar is trying to show is that he's not just a guard. And one of the interesting things he told us is that was actually a knock against him with NFL teams, thinking that he could only play that guard position.
Yes.
So showing that he can play 2 positions, I think, is going to be, a big boost for him. Obviously, he's not somebody you're going to put at tackle, but he can play anywhere in the interior line.
Well, and I wanted one more football thought from you before we get a little hoops intel. But you wrote a really good article about a guy that I've been hearing a lot of great stuff since the bowl practices. But you're just for the readers a little bit, you're for our listeners, and I'm sure your readers enjoyed it. But talk about the intel you got about Malik Benson, who I think we're all looking forward to seeing next year at Alabama.
He's everything I hear about Malik Benson is encouraging. I mean, he's a guy that supposedly did really well against Arizona first-team defense during bowl prep, but the big story that I wrote about him was just his work ethic. He actually has the same mentor as Devontae Smith, a guy named Vincent Sanders. And Vincent told me that, these kind of players don't come around very often, and, this is the first guy that's really reminded him of Devontae Smith since Devontae came out. And just in terms of work ethic, obviously they're different receivers. Malik's quicker than Devontae. Devontae's got skill sets that Malik doesn't have, but I think that, Benson could be an instant impact for Alabama. He's definitely a hard-working kid that's going to fit in, to Alabama's process. He came from Hutchinson Community College in Kansas, which is kind of like a powerhouse like Alabama in that JUCO ranks, and so he's kind of used to the dynamic that goes with a program like Alabama, and I think he's going to be a starter. I wouldn't be surprised if you see kind of a veteran wave of receivers as your starter, and then the younger group coming in that hockey line kind of style that Alabama had, where they had, the young receivers back in like 2017, where you had the experienced receivers and then the young receivers. I could see that being the case this year. So maybe you go Burton, Brooks, and Benson, Killer Bees as your starters, and then you put, Bond, Prentice, and Law as your kind of second unit. And then both of those groups are gonna see plenty of the field, but I could see them kind of coming in waves.
No doubt.
All right.
Well, and Tone, good big bounce back for Alabama basketball. They certainly didn't have a hangover from Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing, is just showing that they can fix this problem. They've got some winnable games. Obviously, Vanderbilt was a winnable game. This week at LSU is a little bit harder, but it's still a winnable game because LSU is just struggling. Fixing the problem, getting back to looking like a top 5 team is important for Alabama. It seems like they're doing that. We'll see how they continue that, this weekend. But big, huge, encouraging step for them.
No doubt. Well, great stuff, Tony. Let everybody know how to follow you guys over at Tide Illustrated.
Yeah, like you said, TideIllustrated.com. We're part of the Rivals Network. You can follow us at Tide Illustrated on Twitter, or you can follow me at Tony_Sukalis on Twitter as well.
Thanks, Tony.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
All right, let's get a break in. Continuous Talking Ball coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We are down to 3 problem areas now. 231 on Brindley Mountain may have a support line for a utility pole down there. Possible injury in that wreck. Martin Luther King and Pulaski Pike's got southbound blockage. And we had one in Morgan County, 319 mile marker I-65. That's near Falkville. Had a fuel leak in a vehicle there. Popeye's famous chicken sandwich is only $4.99. Crispy tender chicken on a delicious toasted brioche bun. Love that chicken from Popeye's. University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out, or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at BobWallaceAppliance.com.
The Stretch Zone, with 2 locations in the Tennessee Valley, will get you ready for whatever spring activities you have planned, from golf to tennis or just to increase your general activity. The Stretch Zone can get you limbered up to feel your best. Plus, you'll be taught the best stretches that you can do on your own in between visits to one of our 2 locations in Hampton Cove and Huntsville or on Balch Road in Madison. Visit StretchZone.com for more information. That's StretchZone.com and be the best of you. Learn more at StretchZone.com. Valley Equipment Rental has grown by leaps and bounds over the past year and is adding more and more equipment to their already impressive fleet. Valley is a locally owned family equipment rental business serving the entire Tennessee Valley. They concentrate on the local contractors, building repeat business and specializing in long-term rentals for their local contractors. The benefit of long-term rental is that they stay on top of their assets. If something you own goes down in the field, you have to stop and fix it before you can finish the job. With Valley Equipment Rental, they will fix it on site or bring you another machine while that one's being fixed. More importantly, Valley is locally owned and operated, which means when you have an issue, you can get someone on it right away, right here in the Valley. Heck, ask for Ross Roberts, the owner, if you like. Try calling one of the big box national outlets and asking for the owner. That's if you can even get through the automation. Buy local. Buy Valley Equipment Rental. Valley Equipment Rental has 2 locations, one on the North and South Parkway. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. It is 8:19 on a Friday morning. Welcome back to the show. 256-576-4977. That is how you can join us. We only have about 30 minutes left of our week. That's it. We're down to, not to make everybody feel bad, but
and then to go back out into the frozen tundra of Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, I know. I
know you're from Iowa, Scott, but I know but you're not enjoying this weather.
No, I am not, because I've been here so long enough now. I mean, and you've been here since '99. I forget how many years it is. We cannot do math today. I'm not even going to try. But
yeah,
that just.
Well, you've kept us updated on the weather conditions at your parents' place too, which is like 8 degrees yesterday, I think.
Well, it was 8. So they get down to negative.
Negative.
It's -6 right now.
Oh.
-6. So I'm complaining about 30. They're sitting at -6. With the wind chill there, it says it's -18.
Oh.
So I'll take 30.
I think we all would. I don't know that I could have got here. My damn car would have been froze shut.
Ron Hines with us this morning on the phone lines. Good morning, Ron.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, Jensen. And as a Notre Dame grad, I woke up this morning thinking I was in South Bend again without the snow.
Oh, yeah, it was frigid. I mean, I'm telling you. I mean, Ron, we were on the way back from, I was on an excursion. As Scott and I always do, we talk about food. And so we were talking about the Bright Star. And I'm just telling you, the temperature was dropping throughout the day. And the defroster was working overdrive trying to get us back from Bessemer, man. I can tell you that.
Look, the drive for me to here to the station is only like 3 or 4 minutes.
I know, you can take a Vespa.
My car doesn't get warm.
I know.
My car stays cold.
It took me 10 minutes to get my windshield in good enough shape to get here today.
All right, Ron, what's on your mind, bud?
Yeah, so as a Notre Dame guy, I just want to kind of give you my perspective on what Alabama could potentially get here with Tommy Rees. So,
right.
I've seen Tommy as a quarterback since 2010-13. Listen, as a quarterback, he was average, maybe a little above average.
Yeah, physically,
but what he made up for it was what was between his ears. He had probably some of the best football IQ I've seen in a quarterback. So the natural progression of coach did not go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you're going to get out of Tommy Rees is he's a relentless recruiter, unbelievable recruiter. Listen, look what he did. He went up to Michigan and snagged and signed a 2024 kid named Carr, whose grandfather was the head football coach at Michigan.
Yeah, Lloyd Carr. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And to have the ex-football coach of Michigan say, this is absolutely the right decision for my grandson to go to Notre Dame, I think there are people in Michigan just rolling in their graves, if you know what I'm saying. So, relentless recruiter. The other thing is he's a phenomenal developer of quarterbacks. Look what he did with Drew Pine. Drew Pine, at best, would struggle to start at Austin Peay, let alone Notre Dame. And he was able to coach that kid up to, an 8-3 record. Now, listen, there was that one time those cameras that are in the coaches' boxes.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't have to be an expert in lip syncing to see what he was telling Drew Pine during the Cal game. So, the whole do your, F job. So he gets a little fired up. Where do I think he struggles a bit, and it's just because he's probably young, is his play calling ability. He was very hot and cold this year in his play calling ability. The Stanford game, the Cal game, horrible play calling. And it was largely because you guys know this, sometimes that first half, you have to kind of adjust your play calling to what the defense is going to give you, let alone what you want to do. And you get kind of stuck in the rut like, well, I'm just going to be determined to try to run it between the tackles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even Stanford can put 10 in the box and stop you, right? So, and then he has phenomenal games calling. The Clemson game, Dabo Swinney didn't know what the heck was hitting him that game. They just it was just a pure butt kick. And it was largely because of the play scheming and the offense play set that Tommy called. So that's kind of like where I think you're going to get him. I think the Alabama fans just have to be a little bit patient. He will make mistakes, especially on the play calling side. But good news for Tommy is he likes to call the offense in the coach's booth. So the butt cheering he'll get from Saban will be on the headset where he can turn the volume down a little bit versus face-to-face. But, I think he'll be a very, very good fit for Alabama. The one question I have for you guys is, do you question like the culture fit for him coming down here? What I mean is he's a South California kid who spent his entire adult life as either a student, player, or coach in the Midwest.
No, I don't
thanks
think
for the question,
so.
and thanks for the phone call.
Because I wanted to tell you, Ryan, look at Sark and Kiffin.
Right.
They were California guys, and Sark played at BYU. And of course the Mormon faith and things of that nature. So, and he was a West Coast kid. Lane went to Fresno State. Lane was on the West Coast. I don't think there'll be a bad fit, from personally and culturally at all. And Brian Kelly and Nick Saban, there's a lot of similarities in their coaching styles from the standpoint of the way they want to do things offensively. Saban has probably been a little more wide open lately than Brian Kelly, but still, Brian Kelly, it was known as a guy that would throw the ball, but it was more like what we've seen Todd Monken do at Georgia. There's a lot of tight ends involved.
Wants to be physical, though.
Yeah, they want to run the ball. They did a great job with their tailbacks.
Right.
And I think, that was a great phone call by Ron, but it does sound like that Notre Dame, I just got a text during the show, barring something unforeseen a late change, Rees is expected to take the job. And I think it's significant, and we mentioned it earlier, and you mentioned it on the show, that Brian Kelly wanted to take him to LSU.
Yeah,
there was no question about that, and he decided to stay at his alma mater at the time and work for Marcus Freeman.
So Ron brings up an interesting point. At least I think it is. Steve Sarkisian, we have Lane Kiffin, Brian Dable. They all called plays on the field. They were all the quarterback coaches. They all called plays on the field. Bill O'Brien was one of the first ones to go back up into the booth to call it.
But I'll tell you this.
Does that make a difference? Are we picking about
It's just
that?
preference, man. Because, look, the first 5 years of Saban's career, Major Applewhite in year one, he was in the booth.
Right.
And then for the 4 years under Coach Mack, he was in the booth as well.
Okay.
All those dudes were. Okay. So, and I believe Nussmeier may have been as well. So you could really say the first 8 years or so.
So Lane Kiffin probably
seven,
one of the first
because
ones
I guess
to come
Nuss
down.
was just 2 years. So the first 7 years or whatever, there's no question that when you looked at it, that they were all in the booth. The first one to coach from the sideline was the Lane train. Okay. He was the first one when he came along after the 13 season. And when he was there from 14 to 16 on the sidelines. And then Brian Dable was on the sidelines as well. And then, as you said, Steve, you had Michael Loxley. I believe Loxley was up in the booth as well.
Okay.
And then Sark was back on the sideline. So I don't put a lot of stock into that.
Yeah,
I think
I know some people
that's
do.
total nitpicking and then just trying to create an issue.
Some people think like as a quarterback, they want their quarterback coach, they want their offensive coordinator down on the field. Some don't. I don't know. I never played the game at that level. I mean, I played flag football, but we didn't have coordinators.
Well,
So,
I mean, I just
don't
think
know.
pretty much all the defensive coordinators under Saban have been on the sidelines, and that's probably going to continue because a lot of communication, a lot of adjusting.
Yes.
But you're more apt to see the DC on the sideline than you are the OC.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like if you're up in the booth, wouldn't you be able to like potentially read defenses better and be able to better adjust to how like a defense is playing?
You
by
can make
being
that
able to see
argument.
like the entire field.
Yeah, you can make that. I don't know. I mean, that's where I was wondering. I mean, I don't know. It's a question that I see brought up. I hear brought up, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Well, but I just see it brought up a lot. All right. The man that took the picture of the Alabama plane in Notre Dame in South Bend, Pete Sampson. He's going to join us next. Talk about the picture standing outside in the cold.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Really a fantastic Friday across the Tennessee Valley. Plenty of sunshine, though we are going to be on the cooler end of the spectrum. Temperatures only climbing into the low and mid 40s, dropping into the mid upper 20s through the overnight early into your Saturday morning. Clouds are going to build through Saturday afternoon as we head into Saturday evening. Temperatures, though, going to climb into the low and mid 50s, only dropping into the mid upper 30s as we head into Sunday morning. More cloud cover for Sunday afternoon, but temperatures are pushing 60 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We haven't picked up anything new accident-wise. Everything from earlier should be moved out of the way now. You be careful. We still have a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode this morning. It's a paralegal with experience in family law. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
1 in 3 adults in America have pre-diabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom my. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you scheduled your wedding and even your child's birth around your school's game? Of course. But it means more than that. It means you're home to hundreds of Fulbright, Truman, Goldwater, and Rhodes Scholars. It means starting out as the birthplace of American public higher education, and now leading the way in unmanned spacecraft. This is the SEC, and here it just means more. What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That there's an honest-to-goodness chandelier in your tailgate tent? Perhaps, but it means more than that. It means pioneering medical solutions to predict new flu viruses. It means leading globally diverse teams to eliminate starvation in developing countries. And it means being home to one of the nation's top cybersecurity programs. This is the SEC. And here, it just means more.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You'll be set for life.
All right, there you go. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Tyson, DeArmond. We're with you for another 30 minutes. And the conversation this morning has centered around Alabama and head coach Nick Saban zeroing in on their next offensive coordinator, and that offensive coordinator probably more than likely at this juncture heading from South Bend, Tommy Rees, current offensive coordinator Notre Dame, The odds are great, probably, that he is going to be the next offensive coordinator for Alabama.
Well, hopefully we're going to get some insight from our next guest, and we really appreciate his time. We know he's very busy. He's certainly, as you said going to break, Scott, he's the one that said, hey, for you, the crowd that if it didn't happen, here's the or you need
it doesn't
to see
happen
a
unless you get a pick.
Yeah.
Yes,
he certainly was at the airport in South Bend. He got a pick of the University of Alabama's plane that picked up Tommy Rees and his fiance yesterday, and he does a great job covering Notre Dame for the Athletic in the Athletic College Football, and that is Pete Sampson, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Pete, welcome to Huntsville, Alabama. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you this morning?
Good. Thanks for having me on. It was a little bit strange to see that Crimson A landing in the snow in the upper Midwest yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, how were you tipped that it was going to be there, or how did that all come to fruition?
Yeah, I don't just hang out at the airport.
I just thought maybe, I mean, small airport, but I mean, just because it's a Thursday.
Don't hang out at the airport in the snow.
Yeah, in the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. It was, but it was strange to see that plane taxiing in. Saw Reese and, like you said, his fiance board it and head out. But I think this came together pretty quickly. I mean, Reese had a Zoom call with Alabama on Wednesday, flies down Thursday. I believe he's supposed to meet face to face with Nick Saban today. And I think that this could be wrapping up in pretty short order.
Well, I mean, what's the feel around it? I mean, because and you can tell us if we're right. Now, this is what we said before you came on. Like last year when Brian Kelly left and surprised some people going to LSU, the intel we got was that he wanted to take Tommy Rees, and I remember it being a big deal that so much of the staff, including him, stayed with Marcus Freeman to continue to coach at Notre Dame. And was that the feel with last year? And then now a year down the road, what's the feel from everybody around the program that he could be leaving for Alabama?
Yeah, I think it would have been much worse if he left last year, not because he is a better or worse coach today than he was a year ago. But I think when you have a first-year head coach at a place like this, you want to give him every chance to success and not having to worry about installing an offense, hiring a new coordinator out of the gate. I think it was critical last year that Reese stayed. He was never going to stay forever. I think a job like Alabama is one that, you if John Wooden asks you to come in for an interview, you're going to do it. So that's sort of where I think he is with Notre Dame and Alabama. But I think for him to stay last year was critical. You're absolutely right. Brian Kelly thought he was not only going to hire Tommy Rees, he thought as offensive coordinator, he thought he was going to hire Marcus Freeman as defensive coordinator.
That's true. That's very true. That's a good point, yeah.
So to sort of keep that core together for 1 year while Marcus Freeman could sort of get his feet under him as a head coach, I thought was critical. Now, if Marcus Freeman's been doing his job over the last year, he's been figuring out, okay, who's the next Reese? You got to have some idea of that before a moment like this actually comes.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of coordinator is Tommy Reese? I mean, if he ultimately ends up taking this job at Alabama, what is Alabama getting?
He's pro style. He wants to run it first, a lot of two tight ends. But if you have Michael Mayer as one of your tight ends, you're going to run a lot of two tight ends.
Right.
Yes.
Notre Dame was not blessed with receiver talent at all, so that is going to be a big change down at Alabama. He's never really been able to run an offense that was, had the quarterback-receiver combinations that Alabama is going to have. So he does a very good job of playing to the strengths of his personnel, and sort of adjusting to what he has to work with. At Notre Dame, that meant two tight ends, run the ball, pretty conservative in the pass game, but, they didn't have a Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. So it's, very aggressive, he's a younger guy at 30, but very old school in terms of how he deals with players. I think that him and Coach Saban would probably get along pretty well in terms of, chewing ass. I mean, he gets after it in practice. I wouldn't say that he's a younger guy, but he's not like the player's buddy. The players at Notre Dame, some liked him, some didn't, because of sort of his approach. But in terms of his football acumen and football IQ, I mean, very, very high. I always thought his next step would be in the NFL. opposed to another college job. But I just think he's very well regarded in the industry. That's for certain.
Well, and we had a Notre Dame fan call in before you came on, Pete, and he lauded Ree's recruiting ability. He thought he'd done a very impressive job with the quarterbacks and recruiting at Notre Dame, especially lately.
Yeah, I think his recruiting is good. I wouldn't say that he's an elite recruiter.
Gotcha.
I would, if you had to sort of rank his strength, number one is X's and O's,
Okay.
very high end. Recruiting is good. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's like elite, but he's not somebody who's a passenger in recruiting by any stretch of the imagination. I think where he can improve the most as a coach is sort of like relationships with players. I think he does a good job with that, but he's kind of maturing in that part of his sort of game. So that's I would say X and O's would be his strength, and recruiting would be second.
Well, if he does leave, then where does Notre Dame go to next? I mean, what does Marcus Freeman, where does he turn to? Because down here in Alabama, the fans are panicking because they don't have a coordinator, and it's feeling like it's late. Where does Marcus Freeman turn to?
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to stay in staff, Jared Parker, their tight ends coach, has offensive coordinator experience and a good relationship with Freeman. I think he will probably go outside. Honestly, a name that I've heard already is Joe Moorhead, who I know
Interesting.
Saban was interested in
Akron
down
coach.
there.
Yeah.
Akron coach, big-time Catholic guy from the Midwest. I'm told for him, Notre Dame is a better cultural fit than Alabama would be, so he would listen at least. And I think, Freeman, when he hired Al Golden a year ago as a young head coach, I think that having previous head coaching experience on the staff was valuable to him. So that's probably the first call I would make. There are others out there, but I think a more experienced head coach who's seen it, done it, and did a great job at Oregon and Penn State, I think he would be an excellent pickup. And this is an attractive job. They have a couple NFL offensive tackles, a 6-year starting quarterback, a ton of running back talent. You should be able to put up a lot of points with Notre Dame's offense next year. Really, to me, was going to be Reese's best offense since he's been here as head coach. Now somebody else gets to call plays for that personnel.
And then, of course, he was going to have more than likely Sam Hartman from Wake Forest as the quarterback. And this year, Pete, they offensively, they weren't nearly as good as a year ago, but the quarterback injuries, to me, robbed them. I thought his numbers in 21, when you look at Reese's offense for Notre Dame and Kelly's last year, was really, really good.
Yeah, when he's had experienced quarterback play, I'm talking about Reese, he's been excellent. Whether it be Jack Cohn, who's not an NFL guy, but had seen a bunch of stuff. Ian Book played a ton of football. That offense was good. I think Sam Hartman was going to get Notre Dame back to that level, where they're averaging upper, 35 plus points per game. That will be interesting at Alabama because obviously there's going to be a new starting quarterback down there. Reese has not shown a ton of experience with new starting quarterbacks unless you want to go back to 2018 when they made the switch to Ian Book mid-season and had a bunch of success that way. He's really had older quarterbacks since. And, last year, I don't want to throw it out, but if you lose your starting quarterback in week 2, you're not going to have a great offense. I don't care if you're Alabama. I mean, look, Alabama's offense at Texas A&M was not great. And Bryce Young's absence had a lot to do with that. So that will be an interesting challenge for Reese about a younger, inexperienced quarterback. How does he get the best out of him at a place that, look, at Notre Dame, you have a lot more grace period to sort of learn as you go. At Alabama, you don't. It's either you win a national championship or the season was kind of a bust. Notre Dame, there's a lot more, sort of gray area there about what success looks like at Alabama. It's very black or white.
Well, what was the success feeling under Marcus Freeman this past year?
It kind of get back to that gray area. I think the way the season ended, people felt good about it. The Clemson performance was outstanding. I thought the way he held the team together after Stanford was impressive because that really could have gone sideways. They were that bad. But I thought he grew as a head coach. I mean, the number one thing I needed to see from him was show me how you're impacting games opposed to just kind of observing them. And I thought by the end of the year, the way he managed clock, strategy in game, the way he managed players, I thought was really good. I mean, they won 6 of their final 7, and their one loss was to the kid that won the Heisman Trophy at USC, who played out of his mind. So I thought overall, with a backup quarterback first year, that was a good job. I think for the Notre Dame fan base, they're intrigued and excited to see more. Freeman has a pretty high approval rating around here based on his personality, and I think he did enough last year that is sort of will carry over into year 2.
No question, and I know Marcus Freeman. He and Tommy Rees, both as head coach and coordinator, they're both very young, but they both seem like old heads the way they handle themselves. I mean, I was very impressed with Freeman, with his time at Cincinnati, and then in his year at Notre Dame. And I know they lost Keon Keeley, but the recruiting seemed to be really good in his first full cycle.
Yeah, it was good, and I mean the Keeley one really hurt because that's somebody who would have started for Notre Dame next year. But,
right.
I thought recruiting was good. I think that Freeman himself would tell you that they thought it would be even better than it was. The way that class started with Peyton Bowen flipping out to Oklahoma at the end as well. So that Freeman's the easy guy to want to play for. I mean, young, sharp, smart, energetic. He's definitely sort of like the new generation of head coach. And I think that resonates with kids in recruiting. And I think you sort of saw that. They signed 24-star prospects. And I think if you combine 4-star and 5-star prospects, only Alabama and Georgia signed more, combo 4 and 5. So Notre Dame's next step is to be able to find Keon Keeley and keep him. But they had him committed. They had Peyton Bowen committed. That's at least a step in a good direction because before they were having a hard time even getting those guys to say yes the first time, never mind holding on to them late.
And we're talking to Pete Sampson as we're wrapping things up from The Athletic covering Notre Dame. Overall, though, you're hearing that Tommy Rees is very likely to take this job. What would be, in your mind, you know him, you've been around him, what would be his reasoning for leaving his alma mater finally and going to Alabama and maybe not looking to the NFL?
I think professional development is number one. In my conversations with Rees, he's been, I think, a little uncertain about is my long-term NFL or is my long-term college head coach?
Right.
I think at Alabama you sort of get the best of both, right? You've seen their OCs go on to both, whether it be Sark at Texas or Daboll with the Giants, O'Brien getting back into the league as an OC. Alabama lets you sort of name your ticket next. So I think the professional development with working for Saban is one, but I think a very close two would be whatever comes after Alabama. Nobody stays there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And usually if you do a good job at Alabama, you can call your shot either as a Power 5 head coach or an OC in the NFL. And I think both of those things are things that Rees would be interested in.
Well, great stuff, Pete.
Yeah.
We really appreciate the time. We know you're very busy monitoring this situation in Notre Dame, but let everybody know how to follow your work. You do great stuff, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, at theathletic.com. I'm sure a bunch of your listeners follow Aaron Suttles over there. Does a great job covering Alabama for us. But you can follow me on Twitter at Pete Sampson _ or all my stuff is on theathletic.com.
Thank you,
thanks,
man.
Pete.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Good stuff. Great stuff there from Pete Sampson, filling us in on Tommy Rees, the whole saga. What he
Sounds
would bring
like
to Alabama.
he thinks it's happening, man.
Yeah. All right. Let's get a break in. Tomorrow's headlines today. Next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We've got a lot of folks in last-minute dash mode scrambling, trying to get in on time this morning. You be careful there. Accident-wise, I don't think we picked up anything new. Definitely watch out, though. We still got some slick areas. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down now so you have it in the future. Dr. Randall Burns is at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Suffering from emotional pain and mental health conditions, intensive outpatient programs, or IOP is a rich addition to your continued individual therapy. Group members realize they're not alone and that others have similar difficulties. Hearing and sharing different ways to think and cope can be encouraging, empowering, and promote healing. In most cases, treatment is covered by insurance and no doctor referral is needed. Virtual IOP sessions available. Take your first step to wellness by calling 205-999-5247 or log on iopservicesllc.com.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
The new Cheeseburger Bobby's on Carl T. Jones Drive in South Huntsville is focused on serving great food prepared with the absolute freshest ingredients, featuring classic hamburgers and cheeseburgers with lots of specialty options, chicken and hot dogs, even turkey burgers and veggie burgers, along with fresh cut fries, onion rings, or coleslaw. Always fresh, never frozen, except for the frozen custard. This week, our zone deal is $50 worth of Cheeseburger Bobby's for half price, just $25. Get yours Friday at 97.7 ESPN.com. Qualis Corporation, headquartered here in Huntsville, is a woman-owned small business providing technical services in the areas of engineering analysis, testing, and support services to both commercial and government customers. For 29 years, Qualis employees have provided award-winning support to complex technical and engineering efforts, helping ensure critical programs, products, and systems are acquired, tested, and fully operational when fielded. Qualis Corporation, proud sponsor of the UAH Chargers. Go Chargers!
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Coming up later today, it will be ratified. It'll be approved. Not that it's got to be like a vote or anything, but Alabama head coach Nate Oates will get a contract extension, a multi-year contract extension that'll take him through the 28-29 season. The deal is expected to be approximately worth $5 million annually. It'll make Oates one of the sport's highest paid coaches.
Yeah, John Rothstein of CBS Sports started reporting that yesterday. I know we didn't get a chance to talk to Tony about it because there's so much football going on with Tommy Rees and the Senior Bowl. But again, Nate Oates, this has been coming. I was telling everybody he's not going to Texas. Everybody was, Texas's job's open. They were paying Chris Beard $5.2 million. Well, he's going to be making $5 million now. This is the third raise he's gotten. He was making $3.2, Scott. He's got a $1.8 million raise, and when you look at the SEC, he's going to be in the top 4. Of course, we know John Calipari making nearly $9. He's far and away the highest paid, one of the highest paid in the country. And then then it goes basically. Rick Barnes is making about $5.4 million.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Pearl making $5.2, or it may be the other way around. Those two guys are, because remember, Bruce Pearl got the huge raise last year.
Right.
Because they won the SEC, and they thought Louisville might come after him. So both Bruce Pearl and Rick Barnes are already making over $5 million a year, and Nate Oates will be 4th. But they're among the highest paid coaches in the country. So Alabama's committing to the sport. Now they got to get the rest of the $60 million raised to start moving dirt to get the basketball arena built, because that's the next step.
Nate Oates in 119 games at Alabama, 80-39 as a head coach. So there you go. That is really the big headline. Nate Oates getting that contract extension today. Also, if you're paying attention, today is February 3rd, 23.
Yeah,
it is a big day because it's my son's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to Landon.
Yeah, well, he's not up, pal. He's out on the West Coast. He's still sleeping.
Well, I know he's still asleep.
Paying $10 for gas.
Oh, my Lord. I feel sorry for him in the land of Biden.
He can't pump it. We've been through that before.
Oh, my. Yeah, that's right. It's all. Well, hey, at least he doesn't have to get out of his car and freeze.
Yeah.
Well, how cold is it in Oregon right now, by the way?
So let's go into the forecast.
I've heard Oregon's a beautiful place, though.
It is. I haven't been out there. So in Coos Bay right now, it is, I had it here. 48 degrees right now.
It's not bad. It's probably no ice.
Raining.
It is raining?
Yeah. Today is supposed to get to 52 out there.
Well.
So he's going to be warmer than we are by 11 degrees. But that's not why it's a big day. It's Michael Jordan Day.
It is. It's not LeDum, because LeDum wore his jersey number for a while to copy him. But, it's definitely not LeDum Day. Because I don't give a damn when he breaks the scoring record. I'm not going to watch 1 second of it, because I could give a rat's ass because he couldn't hold Jordan's jockstrap. I don't care how many points he scored, how many rebounds he's got, how many assists he's piled up, how many championships he's chased, because he couldn't elevate an organization to win one by himself. I mean, the only thing I'll give him is he came back to Cleveland and won one. Okay? But, Kyrie the Democrat had to make that shot.
So it is 2-3-23 Day.
Yes.
Michael
Patrick
Jordan
Ewing
Day.
dunk, man. That's my favorite dunk of the Jordan era.
Which one?
The Patrick Ewing baseline dunk.
Or how about the Dikembe Mutombo dunk?
Yeah, that was pretty nasty. My favorite's the Ewing. I mean, sorry, B. Rich.
Yeah.
I know you. B. Rich was a big Ewing guy back in the day, but that was my favorite dunk of the Jordan era.
So many Jordan moments. So many great Jordan moments.
Switching the hands against the Lakers.
Yep. How about the shrug game against the Portland Trail
8
Blazers?
threes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
72 wins.
We're out of here. It's our weekend.
It certainly is.
UAH basketball, Alabama basketball tomorrow. Go enjoy some food. Stay out of the cold.
Get that dub, everybody.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the big